The 24 hours of Daytona getting ready for a start. They are clearing pit road. They have been given the command to fire the engines and the cars. There you see them lined up. There is the #1 car, the Porsche 962, which qualified at 1 minute 50 and 989 one-thousandths of a second, which rests on the pole. Beside it is the Porsche March, an 83G car, and that car is from South Africa, a major surprise. There you see Bob Tullius, whose car number 44 is the Jaguar that will start in 3rd position, and apparently David Hobbs is assigned as the first driver. It'll be Hobbs and Doc Bundy assisting that man, Bob Tullius, with the Jaguar, which is qualified 3rd fastest. You see the field gathered, preparing for the start. There are 81 cars now, 1 car down. It is being reported that car number 20, and now it is in line, number 25, the Red Lobster car, has just come up onto its position. So there are 82 automobiles, and the look down pit road as you watch A.J. Foyt getting set for the start is just amazing. It's the longest field we've ever seen draped along pit road. There you see them stretched out. They'll run for hopefully for 24 hours. Probably a third will finish this race. Just millions of dollars of racing equipment ready to go here, Derek Bell.
It's not working. I don't know if it's, I think it may be the battery's gone dead.
It's going to be a sensational race as they qualified Michael and Mario Andretti at 125.526 miles per hour. And now you're inside the car, which is, I believe, the outside of the front row. And that is Cyril van der Merwe, the South African driver in, I am totally wrong, that's number 16. And the 16 car is still further back on the grid for the start of this event. Van der Merwe's double zero car, that's a shot from just in the midst of the field. There's the second Jaguar, 04, and Brian Redmond comes out of retirement to drive in that. Big story on drivers coming back. Innes Ireland is here. We saw him many years ago as the field begins to roll here for the Daytona 500 in a Dodge automobile. Innes Ireland from Scotland, former Formula One driver, is back, and endurance racer. And Vic Elford, a former winner, is also back for this event. And Derek Bell will be out here as well in the night. We wish you well. There you see the starting grid. The Andretti's are up in front. The Jaguar, the Porsche GTP that won it a year ago, is in that 4th position. Just an incredible job of qualifying here. They only had 1 shunt in that chicane, which everyone has voiced an opinion about in the past several days. So perhaps after all the brouhaha about it, it's not going to be a problem. But Mario Andretti told me yesterday, he said, if anyone gets in beside of you and makes even the slightest error, you're history.
I think the most vital thing about it is, in fact, of course, that everybody's so aware and so frightened of that chicane that I don't think we'll see too many incidents. If they are, they'll be towards the back of the field.
Now, we'll be reviewing 3 classes, the prototypes, which would cover the front 15 or 16 cars in the field, and those are just hand-built, special one-off cars. Then the GTO cars, which are much more familiar. GTO means Grand Touring over 2.5 liters, over 152.5 cubic inches. The top GTO qualifiers, back in 15th position, the Billy Hagan car with Terry Labonte and Gene Felton. He was the best of that GTO group. Second among the GTOs, starting 19th position, is the car of Greg Allen and Richard Spinard. Their Pontiac Firebird, number 22, will start 19th overall. And third in the GTO class is car 72 of Tommy Riggins and Les Delano. Their car starts in the 21st position. Now the GTU, that's the small engine cars. And the fastest qualifier among that group was a Porsche 924. Tom Winters out of Arizona and Bob Bergstrom, along with Innes Ireland, are in that car, which qualified 42nd overall, and was the first among the GTU class. And we'll be following 3 classes throughout the race. Second was the Porsche 924, John Schneider of Dallas, Elliott Forbes Robinson along with him, and Ken Williams, Taylor's South Carolina driver. They'll start 43rd. The 3rd fastest GTU car was a Mazda RX-7 Lee Mueller, John Casey's car. They'll start from position 44. And in position 46 is the 4th fastest of the small engine cars, a Mazda RX-7, which is Jack Dunham and Jeff Klein. Dunham out of Coral Springs, and from Malibu, California comes Jeff Klein, and with him is Paul Lewis in that car. There's an 84 Pontiac Fiero in the GTU class, Doug Brunet's car, and it's the only American entry in the under 2.5 liter category, the new Fiero. And we'll be following how that car does. Doug Brunet out of Illinois, Clay Young, Smyrna, Georgia. They qualified that Pontiac Fiero back in 53rd position among the 82 cars.
Very, very good indeed, I think, to qualify that sort of a car there.
And they're hoping to finish. Now you see the cars up on the east banking as they prepare to go twice round the clock here in the 24 hours of Daytona. The field moving up on line, getting set for a start this afternoon. They are in the back straightaway. That was in the west banking. They are now into the backstretch, trying to get a little heat in the tires. The car on the pole is the 962, and what a story here. That is the only car of its kind, a $250,000 car, the Porsche 962. It ran for 3 days last week at Paul Ricard's track on the French Riviera, the Paul Ricard circuit, and the driver was Derek Bell. After he finished, the car was taken back to Italy, then flown here to Daytona Beach. So you're one of the few people in the world who know how good that car is. How good is the new Porsche 962?
It's very, very good indeed. We have quite a new engine in it. And I think the car is going to go very, very well indeed. It's very reliable. I think we've seen from the testing we did last week, and it's gone well this week without fault.
3.87 mile course, and there's the trickiest part right there as they come into that chicane. Now that's totally different, and it's brought the speeds way down, so everything we see today will be a new record. Remember the banking at the east and west end, 31 degrees. Derek, you've driven all the courses in Europe, but this banking, as they say down here in the southern part of the United States, is really different.
It's very, very different indeed, and of course it's the overtaking the much slower cars during the race that becomes the tricky part of it.
There's the Pontiac Fiero, car number 84, the Brunet car, which will be trying to carry the American colors in the under 2.5 liter category. The small engine cars, that's a 4-banger that's out there. Car number 84 in position number 53, young Jim Burt and Doug Brunet, the 3 drivers. All right, the pace car is coming in, and the car on the outside of the front row, the 00, Cyril van der Merwe of South Africa, goes up beside Andretti as they stack them 3 deep going into turn number 1. Here they are, coming around that first turn, and it is the South African going out in front. The 00 car, which finished second here a year ago, and at that time was driven by Al Herbert. Now a complete South African team at the controls of this blue and white machine, going into the International Horseshoe Turn here at Daytona before a crowd estimated at 65,000 people. Almost twice what we've seen here before. They're in the second infield straightaway, going up to about 140, 150 miles per hour, and now they come up to a left-hander. They're into the left-hander. Andretti has settled back into second position. Mario Andretti is in second spot. No reason to be in a real hurry here at the start for 24 hours, Derek.
No, in fact, I think you'll find it's just a matter of who puts the most boost on for the first 2 laps to show the cameras just how quick they are. That's what makes the difference now.
Tony Martin and Graham Duxbury, all South African champions. And here is the 00 from South Africa, a Porsche March, a 1983 model, up on the bank for the first time and drawing away. And he will pull up to how fast before he has to ease off with a chicane, Derek?
I would think it's about just under 180 miles an hour. And of course has to slow right down through third gear down to about 100 for the entry.
The brand new turn, the critical chicane. And it is Cyril van der Merwe of South Africa. And right behind him comes Mario Andretti in the second position. A Porsche-powered March car in command. South Africa for the first time in history. Looks like they may lead the first lap. Some 14 nations are represented here. Andretti in second. Now you see the traffic just being very, very careful. At the drivers' meeting this morning, they were told to be extremely careful when there were these 82 cars on the track in the early going.
It's great to see that people are realizing it's a 24-hour race and not a 10-lap sprint. And I think that's why we're seeing some intelligent driving at the present time.
Bob Aikens said there are only 12 drivers out here that I trust. The others you have to treat as idiots.
I would think that's a bit strong. I'm not very happy about that comment. I think there's a lot of very fine drivers out there, but you have to be very aware of everybody.
A record of 82 cars at the start. The field is away, and safely so, and we are back with the leader another time. Andretti trying to reel in the leader here with a Porsche 962. There's the march out in front.
The other interesting fact is, of course, Andretti has different tyres onto the march in front of him, which I think we haven't mentioned at the moment.
Well, let's talk about the tyre story.
Well, of course, the march, in fact, is on Goodyear tyres, and Andretti's car, I believe, is the only car, certainly the only prototype car that's out there on Dunlop. It's the car we've done all the development with, and on those tyres, and so I think it should be quite interesting to see how they wear and how they last.
Andretti closing in. There's a battle among the street tyres here today, too. We have the VF Goodrich tires out here and the Firestone, and we'll keep an eye on that as to how they do in the course of the going. Yeah. Now you see them up on the banking for the first time. And going to full song another time. It is Cyril Mandebury of South Africa in front, Andretti remaining in the second position. And the third spot is the Jaguar, number 44, with the driver at the present time, David Hobbs.
And A.J. Foyt, of course, is in fourth place. I'm glad to see.
A.J. Foyt sustaining fourth, exactly where he began in the event. And you're delighted that A.J. stays out there, because if he stays out there, you'll get a few extra dollars tonight, a few shekels for driving that car.
That's right, yeah. Won't get too much
All right,
sleep.
let's look again at the traffic as they come around to the banking. We're back in the chicane. There you see the Aiken car, some of the prototypes still. And there's the number 3, which is a Buick March. That's a V6 and one to watch. That number 9 car directly behind it was the car that made such history at Sebring last year. And it pulled that event off. More about that as we progress. We'll be going to Dave Despain before too long. He's at the STP Pit Communication Center here at the Daytona International Speedway. And we have a great start. The field all underway after one lap. No one came in, no problems. And there is the South African leader. And here's Andretti trying to close in the International Horseshoe. Mario Andretti of Nazareth, Pennsylvania, the 1967 winner of the Daytona 500, winner here in 1972 when he drove with Jackie Hicks in a Ferrari, and of course the 1978 world champion with Team Lotus. He is trying to close, but right now the Porsche March seems to draw away. Yeah,
I think you'll find that the South Africans are running slightly higher boost, and you can see Mario's got better road holding through the turns, but the March pulls away out of the turns because they have identical engines, of course.
Critical turn 6 here. This is where they come back onto the super speedway part of the course. The surface changes a bit, and let's for a moment, we get them back to the chicane, talk about that surface change at the chicane. That's all new asphalt, and that's got to do something.
Well, the drivers have been saying that you get better grip on the new surface, which somehow is different to the normal situation when we're racing. Also, of course, we have a change of surface right in the middle of the chicane, which also makes it interesting.
All right, now here's Andretti in a position where he can overtake.
He won't just now because of these great big stack of tyres. You can't take any chances at all with the entry to this chicane.
So, South Africa stays front, and America's Mario Andretti stays in second. A.J. Foyt sustaining fourth in the car and team that came here and won a year ago in the 24 Hours of Daytona. More in a moment. We're back with you once again, live from the World Center of Speed here on WTBS, the Superstation, and you're watching the battle for first place. They pulled out to an 8-second advantage. It is Mandebury of South Africa and Mario Andretti locked up in a battle for the lead. Then several seconds back, Doc Bundy is driving the Jaguar, which is in third. A.J. Foyt is in the fourth position. They're headed for the chicane. So far, no problems there. Let's get a report from the chicane. Standing by, here is Jim Roller.
Well, Ken, as we predicted, the chicane has provided a little bit of excitement out here. For the front runners, Cyril Mandebury and Mario Andretti, things have been very smooth, but for some of the cars that are going toward the back of the pack, things have not been quite as good. We've already had 7 cars go off on the escape road as they run into problems trying to brake to get into the chicane. The first person to have a problem was A.J. Foyt in the car number 6. The defending champion of this event came in down the back straightaway, didn't get enough braking on it, had to use the escape road. He fell in line in 4th place. That was the first driver to have a problem.
Well, there you see that chicane.
The Tim Richmond injury with Joe Ruttman and Mike Laws. The number 11 car, as they drove, actually did an overland drive right over the grass and rejoined the pack.
The 00 and the 1 running side by side down in front of us, and Mario Andretti in heavy traffic has pulled by the South African team. Andretti, as they ran wheel to wheel at the chicane, they had grouped up and they battled side by side all around the east banking of the track. They came down into turn number 1, and they were in heavy lap traffic. Andretti finding the hole. He has moved up, and Cyril Mandemervi of South Africa has had to settle for second spot. Andretti in the 962. Out in front, his 21-year-old son, Michael Andretti, standing by to take over in that car.
Yes, I think one overlooks how good these South Africans are. Van der Merwe is one of the best rally drivers in the world, but he's pretty unknown over here, which is a pity.
Well, here he is trying to close, and you were mentioning he had more boost. They're in heavy traffic. I mean, to be very, very careful. A lot of amateur drivers out here, and here you see some of the world's best. Andretti, Van der Merwe out of South Africa, A.J. Foyt, among the very best rated drivers there are.
He's going to be the one that can get through the traffic best without hitting something. You always think it's easy to be in front, but when you're behind, you've got to avoid those guys that, you know, you're whipping past. It's not easy.
31-degree banking now out of the west end of the speedway, headed back for the chicane, around the lap car.
That's put a bit of a gap between them.
A very nervous move by Andretti, and the South African team stays right there.
Yes, he did very well there, overtaking that BMW, I thought.
So Andretti stays up in front, and now he draws away, gets a good distance as they cover the east banking. Before they could reach about 200 miles an hour in there, and that new corner on the backstretch, which has slowed them down, makes this place right here on the track, right at the start-finish line, the fastest place on the course. Now they're under braking, now they're coming down through the gears.
That's right, the March seems to have a little bit of a go at overtaking here, but he doesn't quite make it. Sticks in behind. You can see he's running a little bit more boost by the amount of flames that come out of the exhaust on the overrun.
Andretti flashing by a back marker, one of the under 2.5-liter cars, and in the early going in the battle among the prototypes. Whole new look to the 24 hours of Daytona, not since the days of Scarpiati and Bandini has there been so much interest when the Ferrari team came here in full regalia. Has there been such enthusiasm for this race? And a mammoth crowd is still trying to get into the Daytona Speedway for this 24-hour encounter. There is Mario Andretti, the former winner, as we mentioned, for Team Ferrari, with Jackie Hicks, leading at the present time. And look at that traffic.
It's just incredible. I mean, to be out there is just something else. You can't describe to anybody what it's like. You just have to sort of almost analyze the situation, just make your moment and have a go for it.
Back he comes, up on the banking. Andretti in first, Mandemervi in second, and the third spot is the Jaguar, number 44, which was leading at this time just a year ago. In the fourth spot remains A.J. Foyt, and in the fifth position is the Calagian car, the Chevy Lola T600. Let's go to the STP Pit Control Center at the 24 hours. Here's Dave Despain.
Racing thrives on lap prizes, awards, records. For this 24 hours of Daytona, we've added a new wrinkle. Endurance road racing, more than any other type, is won and lost right here on pit road. So during this telecast, we've organized the Bosch Sparkplug Pit Crew Competition, and we found the perfect prize. The crew whose car spends the least total time here on pit road will recuperate from this 24-hour grind with a week-long trip for two to beautiful Madrid on Aeromexico Airlines, including luxury hotel accommodations and meals. Now, the top 10 qualified cars overall are eligible for the Bosch Sparkplug Pit Crew Competition, and we'll keep you posted from here on the leaders throughout the 24 hours.
Here's Andretti closing on Cyril Mandemervi as they continue their battle. Andretti was overtaken as they came back to turn number one, and they are side by side all the way around the International Horseshoe.
Yeah, very, very exciting. It was a very good move by Van der Merwe, and there's no way that Andretti could take him off because he took the inside line as he did through that last turn, turn two. And Van der Merwe still there on the inside as they come up to the fast left-hander on the infield. There won't be any way for Andretti to overtake really until they perhaps get up onto the banking again. It's pretty tight from here on. And then it really is a matter of see how well Andretti can pull up onto the banking on sheer power and then slipstream past Van der Merwe going down the back straight into the chicane. But we'll have to wait and see. After all, there is still 23.5 hours.
Here comes Andretti. Cyril Van der Merwe from South Africa stays in front. Andretti riding right with him. The car seems to handle it best right there. Here they are. Side. Yeah. Now Andretti drops to the inside.
That's done him no good whatsoever because he was held back. That was a rather immature maneuver, I would have thought, but there again, I think he already saw the break and it didn't materialize, so he's further back than he really thought.
So the South African team in the march now is in command of the 24 Hours of Daytona. Mario Andretti in second, the Jaguar. Bob Tullius and Doc Bundy driving is in third, and A.J. Foyt's car is in fourth. More in a moment. Once again, we're speaking to you live with 7 laps completed on the 3.84-mile track. 7 laps have been completed. 7 laps are complete. And the leader continues to be the South African team, which is a bit of surprise over the Porsche 962. There is the 00 car staying up in front. Andretti closed, went by him, and now has lost. There you see him back another time and trying to move in on the leader. The Jaguar maintains the third position. And Jaguar came here very serious about winning the event. And here's Andretti gnawing away on the back of the march another time.
Yes, it's in fact their lap times are quite interesting. They're doing just over 2-minute laps, which doesn't compare too well with the 1-minute 50s that they were doing in practice and qualifying. So it just shows you how much slower you have to be in the traffic.
Now there's the Jaguar number 04, and right with him is Hurley Haywood's car, the 4-time winner. For the name Hurley Haywood, this 24 hours is a painful ordeal. Mike Joy has that story.
Hurley Haywood is co-driving Bruce Levin's Porsche this weekend. In addition to 2 victories at Le Mans, the world's most famous endurance race, Hurley's been on the winning team in the 24 hours a record-tying 4 times. In all, Haywood has won a dozen races at this famous track, more than any other road racer. But Hurley Haywood has a problem. A crash in Canada 6 months ago left him with a shattered left leg and a bit of medical ingenuity.
This is a removable cast. It's got Velcro strips. You take these strips off. I put the cast on when I'm driving, and the cast remains off when I'm not driving or just walking around or doing whatever. I broke the bottom of my leg, so I have 2 steel rods up the center. I have a steel plate on the side. I have 25 screws in it. So the cast enables me to push the clutch in.
But it'll take more than a broken leg to sideline Daytona's winningest driver, Hurley Hop-Along Haywood, as he seeks an unprecedented 5th 24-hour victory.
Hurley Haywood, who started in the 14th position, now shown as 9th overall, the 4-time winner of this event back in 79, 77, 75, and 73. Driving with Al Holbert, the 3-time IMSA champion, and Bruce Levin. Now there's your leader. Traffic extremely heavy with 82 cars out here. And as night will creep onto this track, that's where you're going to see some very nervous work at the wheel.
You're telling me there is. It's a rather featureless circuit at night, apart from the banking, which you can see only too well. When the chicane, I noticed last night, is very, very difficult to see indeed. You're coming into it at 175 miles an hour, and you're looking up on the wall on the right-hand side to see where it says 300, 200, 100 to show your braking points, and then you have to look to the left to see where the entrance is. I didn't find it at all easy, and I'm sure there could be many more incidents there in the night than in the day.
Cyril Mandeverdi of South Africa being almost overtaken by Mario Andretti. Second infield straightaway.
Yes, he's really worrying Van der Merwe. Van der Merwe, I think, has been in this position for some time in a big car like this, so it's quite something for him. And Andretti's right there waiting to pounce at any moment. And I don't think it'll be long before Andretti gets by. I know he's the sort of driver that likes to be in front. And therefore he's going to make his break at any time at all. As you can see there, he's right inside, but of course he doesn't want to be stupid and have an accident at this stage just by easing by at the wrong time and touching a tail marker. It's just a never-ending session of overtaking slower cars.
Remember, they're running twice round the clock. Driver assignments run about how long in these cars?
Well, about an hour, probably just over an hour, and they might even do 2 stints each, 2 fuel stops, which will give them 2 hours, 20 minutes at a time. But
back to the new turn come those 2 leaders, still locked in encounter.
Yes, they're going to be...
Vandermerwe in front, Andretti in second. Jaguar in third, the Tullius car with Doc Bundy there. And Aiken is on the move. Well, once again, we're speaking to you live from the Daytona International Speedway. Mario Andretti is in a tremendous war with the South African team here. And in front at the present time, it is Andretti once again. Van der Merwe of South Africa is in second. And here's how they're running as you watch them right by the start-finish line. Braking coming down to what, second gear here?
Yeah, second gear as you turn right into turn 1, and then accelerate up to third gear and then back down to second for turn 2. As you can see, there's still, again, this traffic problem they're both encountering, which is inevitable. It's something you have to live with in this sort of endurance racing.
The president of the International Motorsports Association, John Bishop, just coming by, and they are delighted with this, the largest crowd in the history of the 24 hours, who are seeing this tremendous battle continue for the lead. The South Africans are unrelenting in their efforts to stay up in front today.
Yes, they really are. I think you're going to see a lot of them this year. They're doing a very, very good job in endurance racing. They had a good run in South Africa at the end of last year, and I think they're just proving their point now, and I think it's great to see an international team coming here as one.
The 12-cylinder Jaguar has moved into the third position and stayed there from the beginning, but here's the big surprise now. Aiken in car number 5, his Porsche is on the move, and Bob Aiken has found himself a 4th position. A Porsche 935. His co-drivers are Bobby Rahal, who they'll see in the Ford GTO later this year. And there they are, the leaders, lapping number 4, which is the Billy Hagan Camaro. Those two just don't get apart.
No, I don't think Van der Merwe's about to let him get very far away. It's great to have this sort of racing endurance as a driver because you need something to hang on to, and I think you're having a very interesting race. Here goes Van der Merwe now. He's slipping by Andretti, coming up to the chicane. But I think the Porsche seems to have slightly better brakes, yes. Van der Merwe's had to drop in behind him there. Remember that the March car is last year's chassis. They haven't got the 84 March out yet, so we should see some fireworks when the new car comes along.
Car number 1 stays barely in front, and the 00 is the shocker of the race. Surprising first when it came up and ran in second place in qualifying, and now it stays right there. Of course, there's so much more. Here they come. Van der Merwe is on the inside, going for the lead. On the outside is Andretti. Back to the line they come, and the South African team is retaking the lead for the Porsche 962.
Yeah, and Van der Merwe is not going to get it, though, because he's going to be held up by a back marker. You see the Porsche 962 has got slightly better brakes, and he just tactically pushed Van der Merwe over behind that other tough car.
Oh, it's Mario Andretti again, and his son is standing by in the pits. Now, the pits in these races, not quite as intense as we'd see in the Daytona 500. Nevertheless, you lose time there, and it can catch up with you by 3:30 tomorrow.
Oh, yeah. People do lose so much time in the pits. The driver will work himself very, very hard for maybe 3 hours on the run, and he'll come in and somebody will make a mess of things in the pit stop, and it's so ridiculous. You're risking your life out there, and there these guys go and lose the time for you when they're stationary.
12 laps have been completed. 12 laps on this 3.87-mile course, and the leader continues to be Andretti in front. The South African team stays in the second position at this hour, with the driver at the present time, their rally champion, Cyril van der Merwe, in a Porsche Mark. The third position is the Jaguar, with Doc Bundy there. Bob Aiken has pushed his Porsche back to 4th. He's trying to win the event for the first time in his career. And then running in the 5th position now is car number 15, the Collision car, which is a Chevy Lola. And in 6th is A.J. Foyt. We'll be back in 1 hour with more of our live coverage twice round the clock of the 24 hours of Daytona, this International Motorsports Association Championship round number 1 of 1984. For Derek Bell and our entire cast, I'm Ken Squire. Stay with us through the night and on into tomorrow for the 24 hours of Daytona 1984 edition.
Live coverage of the 24 hours of Daytona is being brought to you by Budweiser, the king of beers and proud sponsor of the U.S. Olympic team. For all you do, this Bud's for you. And by a revolution on the American road. Dodge, an American revolution. And by B.F. Goodrich, makers of TA high-tech radials. Promotional consideration and a fee